And because the Wawu accepted them, it was here that the British Union Jack was first hoisted. So after a while, when they left, for the family and people to keep the history, for the family, for the people to keep the record, they now dug a well on the original spot. That is the significance of this well. The well was not here before their arrival. So for them to keep cognizance of the well, was, of the hosting of the Union Jack, was actually the essence of this well. And that is why year in, year out, when we have events, we are having dog return ceremony, that is why they are giving this environment a facelift. Okay. Then quickly, you must understand that Badagry, there are 8 quarters, 8 areas in Badagry. And each of the areas in Badagry have their own chiefs. Now, if we have 8 quarters, you see the Europeans, the French, the Dutch, the English, every one of them now have partnership with each of the quarters in Badagry. What were they doing with each of the quarters? So the Europeans that are in partnership with them, we are encouraging them to get enslaved people from them. Because when the Europeans first came, they don't know how to get to the interland. How were they able to get to the interland? They became friends with some of us, and they lured them with items that you'll be seeing some later, like a bottle of gin and the rest, for them to get what they want. So in Badagry, each of the quarters, Europeans have partnership with each of the 8 communities that make up Badagry. That was how they were getting enslaved people. They were arming them, giving them ammunition to get what they want. There's a slave market here, Vleketed slave market. We'll be that's the last place we'll be visiting. Who organized it? Our history is deeper than what they put in the history books. That is why it is important for Africa Diaspora to come to Africa, not just believe in what you read in books. Make your own personal research, because a lot of them now, there's one storyline: Africans sold Africans. But when you go to Porto Seguro in Togo, the storyline in Porto Seguro in Togo is different from what we have in Badagry. There's a place in the interland called Akpomu. When you get to Akpomu, it used to be one of the biggest slave markets in the interland in Osun State in Nigeria, 5 kilometers away from Ile-Ife. Now nobody's even talking about Akpomu. Most of the people that were brought here were also brought from there, even though there were different slave markets in the interland. Descendants of the people that the Europeans met here, and it's the Wawu who united with the British to stop the slave trade. And the reason why we have the 2 cannon guns over there was because, now that's my point where I'm going to. The 2 cannon guns over there, the family, the Wawu family, refused to do business with the other Europeans. So the other Europeans, they were doing the business of slave trading in Badagry, incited the local people against their own people who were against slave trading. The Wawu family were abolitionists. They were against the slave trade. So let us appreciate Wawu of Badagry. So he is a descendant of those who supported the abolition. We talk about abolitionists, they don't give us African names. It's an opportunity for us today to meet one of the descendants, direct bloodline of those that were against the slave trade here. So when they mention abolitionists, Wawu of Badagry, they are one of the abolitionists. Our being back for 2017, 2019, the Madam Honorable, the Badagry, our being back. Then anytime I put me,
on the short.
You wait to pay. I want to come Africa, come a Padaboni, Africa. Yeah, very good. So, Omo Makogabi, Unwani, I put to him. So when we talk about people coming back home to Africa, the motivation, Makogabe was the one who started it, and it was big. In fact, was it the FBI or the CIA? Because they need to really FBI, because they really need to destroy its organization. That was when the first FBI agent was employed, because it was difficult for you to bring an European to infiltrate the organization. So, sir, opportunity for the world to meet a direct descendant of one of the abolitionists, an opportunity again for us to meet descendant, son of Gabe himself. You're welcome, sir. So, amen. What the experiences are, when they see someone come from the US, they believe that you are coming with money. They believe that where you're coming from, there's gold on the streets. They don't know that there are homeless people over there. They don't know there are beggars over there. They need to know all this. So we need a museum to conscientize our children too. As they are growing up, they understand who Africa Diaspora is, and they know that, look, they are originally taken from here. So when you see them, don't see them as an opportunity that you can extort money from them. We need to come together and devise our own means of integration. It is very, and we must do it consciously. You're welcome. So we go close to the cannon guns that was given to the family, because the Europeans incited other communities against the Wawu. But the British gave them, the Queen gave them the cannon gun for them to protect themselves, because they were abolitionists. So let's see the cannon gun. In fact, there's an inscription on the cannon gun that made mention of the family. Let's watch them. On the cannon gun, the name of the family King Wawu of Badagry. So they see the family as a threat to their business. Now, nobody is talking about the Europeans that were here. They were the slave traders that have affiliations to different communities that were using Africans to get what they want. So it's a privilege for me today to see Baba, because this is a living testimony that they are African abolitionists. So we need to find out more families that were abolitionists, so that when we talk about abolitionists, before we talk about any other people, we first mention our own abolitionists. Wawu Badagry and abortion. We put our own in it, then we can put theirs in it. And now, the reason for this is psychological, so that our children will understand. Unlike when you see abolitionists 1 to 100, you see people that don't look like you. It's a big psychological statement. But when you see people that look like you, so whatever story you read, you know that, okay, then you can decide on your own. Unlike when you see someone that don't look like you. So these two cannon guns were given to the family, and of course, you know how they use the cannon guns those times. There will be a thread here, and a gunpowder will already be in it, and the cannon ball will have been in it. So we'll talk more about the cannon guns when we get to some other places. But imagine, people who come to do business here, the European slave traders are the ones that also determine the price of materials, of items they buy here in Africa. For example, they want 5 human beings, they'll tell you they'll give you a bottle of gin. You are not the one to decide the price of whatever they are coming to take from here. We need to talk about all these things. Even when slavery was abolished on paper, there are evidences that it didn't really stop. What happened was that they want to be able to control the business. So they say they are abolishing, and some people were given rights to do it. They changed the name to slave oil and slave persons to what they call domestic servants. There are documents for this. So before you can transact such business, you have to come to them and they give you permit. Because that permit they are giving you, you still pay tax. So that they can control the business and make direct money. So you are welcome to Badagry Heritage Museum. So my name is Peter Olaide Mesewa. So I am the curator of both the Badagry Heritage Museum and the Slave Market Museum International. So the museum is all about the transatlantic slave trade. But before I go on, once again I want to welcome our brothers and sisters from the diaspora to the motherland. In the words of the emperor, late emperor of Ethiopia, that's Emperor Haile Selassie, he said, after the destruction of Africa, Africa awaits its builders. By this, I am sure he was referring to the diaspora. So I can only pray that Almighty God will give you both the physical and the spiritual strength to fulfill this prophecy. So I welcome you. We feel highly honored for you to join us here in Badagry. To Dr. Marcus Garvey, it is an honor and a privilege to stand before you to share my humble knowledge about the transatlantic slave trade. I will never forget this day. So, coming home back to Badagry. Badagry was a major slave port for upward of 417 years. So slavery began in Badagry in the year 1473. It was abolished in the year 1852, but it continued illegally until 1888 before it was finally abolished. So if you sum it up, that gives you 417 years of slavery in Badagry. And up till now, Badagry is still heavily laden with the burden of the transatlantic slave trade. Badagry is still suffering from both the spiritual, economic, and the social effect of the transatlantic slave trade. You may wish to know that one of the oldest slave ports in West Africa was established here in Badagry in the year 1510 by the Portuguese. And one of the oldest slave markets along the west coast of Africa was equally established here in Badagry in the year 1502. They call it the Vlekete slave market. And those ties are still being preserved up to this present moment. In the year 1852, like I mentioned, Badagry chiefs and kings signed the treaty abolishing slave trade in Badagry. But there is a clause in that agreement which stated that all the implements used during the slave trade should be destroyed. So that was when the slave port in Badagry was pulled down, the slave markets were destroyed, cannons were buried so as to wipe off evidence or record of slave trade from Badagry. So the museum is seen as an attempt by the Lagos State government to preserve that history so that heritage will not be lost forever.
Because if you don't know your past, then you are ill-equipped to deal with your tomorrow. So the museum, though very young, it was established in the year 2002 by the president of Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Ashwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu, when he was still the governor of Lagos State. So the museum has perhaps one of the most comprehensive collections on slave trade in Nigeria today. So I have the rare privilege to take you through the exhibition and explain to you in details in what we have in each of the galleries. Showing the organizational pattern of the trade. You know, it was between three continents, Europe, Africa, and the Americas. So slave trade, we are told, began around 1445 by the Portuguese, because then they were given the right by the Vatican to explore the west coast of Africa. Initially, it was the search of gold and ivory, and probably to propagate Christianity. But when they arrived, few Africans were killed, and they were taken to Lisbon in Portugal to serve as a tutor to Sahel navigator who sponsored the exploration of West African coast, that they had actually crossed in Northern Africa to West Africa. But right now, they are two very different countries. But when they arrived in Lisbon in Portugal, they discovered the Africans are very strong, and they can easily adjust to any climatic condition. So another idea now occurred to them, because they had initially tried the red Indians who were not as strong as the Africans. So another idea now occurred to them that they can equally trade on this one. So that was how the idea of the transatlantic slave trade was conceived. So they came back, and those coastal communities were being plundered on daily basis by the Europeans. They started cheap labor on their plantation, and this lasted for over 400 years. So, and through this, the Africa was subjected to both savagery and brutality unsurpassed in magnitude and scale in the annals of man, because slave trade actually wrecked African civilization everywhere. So when they came along with them some European items, because at some point our people saw slave trade as a kind of diabolical plot in which they had to be accomplices. So instead that you are selling or you are a slave. So each time they came around with them some manufactured food instead of enslaved Africans. So after the exchange, they were taken to West Indies. So where they were made to cultivate crop, sugarcane, cotton, tobacco, and rice. And all this raw material will be returned to Europe and we process it into manufactured food to return to West Africa in exchange of more slaves. This is the pyramid in Gaza, in Egypt. So this is just about celebrating the oldest civilization in the history of mankind. That is the Egyptian civilization. And we all know, and it has been proven, that the original owners of Egypt were the black people and not the Arabs. So that is to say, over 80 to 90% of pharaohs we read about in the Bible were either black men and women. And what were they known for? They were known for their strength and their technology. Because we are told that majority of early European philosophers actually got their education in Egypt by the black people. Euclid, who was the father of geometry, got his education in Egypt by the black people. Archimedes got his education in Egypt by the black people. Euclid, who was the father of geometry, got his education in Egypt. So we have quite a number of it. But when slavery came, it brought a reversal of fortune for the entire African continent. Because they supply us with arms and ammunition for us to fight one another. So instead of trading with our neighbors, we were busy fighting with another. And this lasted for over 400 years. So that is why today, Africa is still struggling to shed off the economic effect of slavery, because 400 economic years was lost to slavery. So Africa is still held down by the effect of the trans, because on daily basis, both our human and natural resources were being looted to develop Europe and America. So here, over here, when they came, it was West Africa was divided into two, the upper and the lower Guinea. The lower Guinea was named, those regions were named after that primary product that was exploited from that part of the world. For example, the area of Sierra Leone and Guinea back then was referred to as the Grain Coast, because a lot of grains were discovered here. So the second one is the Ivory Coast, rather than Côte d'Ivoire, because there a lot of elephants were discovered. So ivory was the major thing that was exported from that part of the world. So that was referred to as the Ivory Coast. Then we have the Gold Coast, now known as Ghana, and that because of the large deposit of gold that was discovered in Ghana. And the last one is the Slave Coast. In the Slave Coast, we have Badagry. In Nigeria, we have Frida, the Republic of Benin. So the slave code, we are told, accounted for 3 out of 10 slaves that then show West Africa. So that to show the body and the continuous slave activities in Badagry and Queen. And like I mentioned earlier, one of the oldest slave ports in West Africa. So here we have the shackles of slavery used during the transatlantic slave trade. There are different types. The leg chain, the leg chain, the ankle chain. So this is the male neck chain. The ankle chain is used on 2 separate legs. So while walking on the plantation, this is to prevent them from escaping. So this is the neck chain for the female enslaved Africans, and this is the leg chain. For those that are conversant, unfortunately, for those that are conversant with Nigeria, if the slave were captured in Oyo, that is your empire, during the transatlantic slave trade. Oyo, I think by road now, Oyo to Badagry should be between 6 and 7 hours. So then during the transatlantic slave trade, you know, then there was no other form of transportation apart from walking or trekking, with the exception of those live in the coastal area. So they had the rare privilege of transporting their slave in canoe. But those that live in the hinterland, you have to walk to wherever the slave port was located. So if the slave were captured in Oyo, meaning that they have to walk all the way from Oyo down to Badagry with this heavy chain both on their feet and on their neck. And we are told that in each voyage, it is only between 30 and at most 50 that will make it alive to the slave port. Because they were exposed to rain, they were exposed to sun, they were ill-fed, and oftentimes they were attacked by wild animals because they had to pass through the jungle. So, meaning that for those that made it, Africans lost more in Africa than those that made it to unknown destinations. We lost more at home than those that ever, because before a slave is taken, at least 1 or 3 members of that family would have lost their life. But naturally they resisted. And those that resisted will be killed for them to get, what they wanted. So meaning Africa lost more back at home than those that made it to your known destination.
You can snap all you want to snap. Don't come into the front afterwards. Let's be professional, okay? Please. Please give us some space at the back. Come in this.
So before you, we have
please, it's enough. It's enough. Let's be professional, please. It's enough. Snap and go back.
So over here, this is a picture showing what the Africans were reduced to, how the Africans were demeaned, how the Africans were reduced to the level of ordinary animals during the transatlantic. So this is a slave market in Zanzibar, and you can see they were majorly female. They were stripped naked. So these are the American slave Africans. So these are the normally marched down to the slave market or the slave port. So over here we have what we call Badagry is in Portuguese.
I need to allow this to go down.
At the same time. And it was a survival of the fittest. Why? Because once water goes down, it will not be filled until the following day. Meaning that if you cannot have water to drink for that day, you may have to wait another day. So that's why they struggle. At times during the struggle, they get injured. And then when the water gets stained by their blood, they continue to drink. So over there,
excuse me, they get injured by
yes,
the
edge
for the neck.
Yes. And over here, we have pictures showing resistance put up by the Africans themselves. Because we are told that the abolition struggle started right on the plantation when the state decided to take their destiny in their hands. So they began to form militia group, rebel, fighting and demanding for their freedom. So individually, this a woman called Badagry. She was a slave. She had 4 children in slavery. But Badagry did not want her children to pass through the same experience. So because of that, she had to poison the 3 of them. After killing them, she later drowned herself in a river. And that's a lifeless body lying down here. So that's some individual resistance put up by the Africans to break the shackles of slavery. So you can see more of resistance put up by the Africans themselves against slavery. And the first successful slave revolt in recorded history happened in 1791 in a place called Santo Domingo, now known as Haiti. And it was led by a man called Susan Louverture, who was taken from Alada over there in the Republic of Benin. So he was able to rally support from himself. So he fought against the French slave dealer on that island, and he took over that island. And that day has been recognized by the United Nations as International Day for the Remembrance of Slave Trade and its Abolition. That's every 23rd of August is recognized by the United Nations as International Day for the Remembrance of Slave Trade and its Abolition. So that event happened in Santo Domingo, now known as Haiti. So let's look at this. So this gallery is called the Industry Gallery. And in it you can see we have pictures and objects showing different types of, enslaved Africans. Actually, there were 2, the domestic and the field slave. So these are domestic slaves. Oftentimes, domestic slaves were those elderly men and women who could no longer handle difficult jobs. So they were kept at home and were used for their different domestic purposes. While the field slaves were the younger ones who were used on different plantations. So for those that work on the plantation, we are told that the hands are required to be on the field as soon as it's noon in the morning, with the exception of 10 or 15 minutes, which is given them at noon to swallow the allowance of cold bacon. They are not permitted to be moving idle until it is too dark to see. And when the moon is full, they often labor to the middle of the night. And they cannot even return to their quarters until they are told to do so by their masters. So oftentimes, they will walk to the point of exhaustion, starvation, and death, because they cannot even express fatigue. So you can see for yourself, we have pictures showing slaves working on different plantations with slaves.
Let us move ahead or move behind.
Men and women of Valor who laid down their life for the abolition struggle. You know, it was fought in the church, it was fought in the law court, it was fought on the street, it was fought in trenches. So this is the famous Binali in Jamaica. He was the leader of the Maroon who fought the British to stand still. So this is Harriet Tubman, the famous conductor on the Underground Railroad. We are told this woman has over 1,000 enslaved Africans and she never lost a single one. So she was called the famous conductor on the Underground Railroad. So this is Natona. He was captured after the failure of his rebellion. He was sentenced to death. So this is also John Brown, a mulatto, who gave arms to the enslaved Africans to fight for their freedom. So this is Susan Louverture, the man who led the first successful slave revolt in history. So I just told you about that in Haiti.
From Haiti.
Yeah, from Haiti. So more this is John Claxi. This is Gavin Sharp. This is our own Alauda Aquarium here. We're actually taking from the southwestern Nigeria. So that's why today, they still revere. They're watching a lot of the Yoruba deity. For example, Shango, Oshun, Yemoja, and you know these are deities peculiar to Yoruba in southwestern Nigeria. So talking about some of the cultural things. And over there, let me just after the abolition of slavery in 1807, we have the Santos, we have the Lisboa, we have quite a number of them. So when they came, they brought home this architectural design from Brazil. So it was introduced into the Nigerian architectural world by the Catholics from Brazil. So we have quite a number of them in most ancient towns and cities in Nigeria. For example, we have a lot of them in Badagry, we have them on Lagos Island, Abeokuta, other parts of our country. So this is the story of Candido J. Richard. So he came and became the wealthiest man in Nigeria back then. Even people's wealth were measured in Darusha's name. In Nigeria then they will ask you, are you as rich as Darusha? So that will tell you how wealthy Darusha was back then. So more of the Brazilian architectural design brought home. And this is our Samuel Ajayi Crowder. Bishop Samuel Ajayi was the first African bishop. So he was captured, he was enslaved here, and on his way to, unknown destination, the boat conveying Ajayi Crowder was apprehended by the British Navy. So he was rescued and he was taken to Sierra Leone. There he was converted to Christianity. He received, Western education, and he returned home. He first settled in Badagry, where he translated English Bible to Yoruba and other Nigerian languages. So that is Bishop Samuel Ajayi Crowder for you. So please let's go to the last. Show you some important historical events that took place in Badagry and some iconic cultural elements in Badagry. So this is our famous Zambeto masquerade. I think this procession is on right now. So Zambeto masquerade, that was before the establishment of the Nigerian police force. We use Zambeto to secure our community. It is used to maintain law and order among people in Badagry. And up to now, it is still being used because till date, our people say revere Zambeto even more than the police force. So apart from being, for security role, it is also used during important festival and to welcome important guests to Badagry. So it is known for its different magical power, and we are going to see it today.
So originally it was used for protection.
Exactly.
They didn't know somebody's hiding inside.
I wouldn't know.
So law enforcement,
It's a spirit.
So this is
say it's somebody, you never see that it's the person, it's a spirit. Wow. It's a spirit possession.
And it is beaten while standing. So the performer gather around it and it is beaten to the unison. So it is used for both spiritual and secular purposes. It is used for the cleansing of the communities. And this is done in the dark. But in the daytime, it is used to announce the ascent of new moon during the coronation of a king and during important festivals in Badagry. So that, and they are in two sexes, male and the female drug. Yes. So let's see a few more pictures.
It's the second largest.
So this is a picture time. Why in black? Yeah. This, delegates, come in. This is picture time. Please.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So go ahead. So this is the picture of the first-story building. So talking about Western architectural building in Nigeria. It all started here in Badagry in the year 1845 when the first-story building was built in Badagry. But there had been story buildings in Africa ever before the arrival of the Europeans. But we are talking about Western architectural design. It started here in Badagry in the year 1845. So this is the arc at the point of no return. So we are going there tomorrow, so we'll get to know more about the point of no return. So this is the gate to the point of no return. So you've been here, so I'm going to tell you more about this. So this is the barracoon. This is the barracoon. In Seriki Abbas, we have Seriki Abbas, Brazilian barracoon. Seriki Abbas was himself a slave. He was captured at tender age of 6 and sold into slavery. So, but he managed to escape and he returned to settle here in Badagry. But unfortunately, he became a slave merchant himself. These barracoons were built by the Brazilians. So it houses about 40 slaves. You are seeing it's part of the itinerary. So you are going there, so you get to know more about this Seriki Abbas Brazilian barracoon. So this is the DO's residence. This used to be their office during the colonial era in Nigeria. So the So this is the Google country in Badagry. It is now a global religion. So, but the etymology of the word voodoo emanated from Ogu language, speaking here in Badagry and Republic of Benin, which we call locally voodoo. But during the transatlantic slave trade, it was taken to other world. From there it was corrupted to voodoo, but originally it is called voodoo and it is spelled V-O-T-H-U-N. But you get to know more about voodoo at the Delicate Slave Market.
Because he is working on the plantation with cutlass with machete in his hand. They still chain him down so that he's not free, so that he cannot run away. Now look at his face and see what you... Now what do you see on his lips? The way you lock your gate on the street of Lagos or in Accra, the way you lock your gate was the same way they locked the lips of our ancestors. They pierced the upper and lower lips and they had the padlock directly on their mouth, on the lips. In places like Berlin, Germany, it is fashionable today. You see people piercing their underlips. People pierce their tongue. When you see people do that, it always brings my mind back to what was done to our ancestors. Of course, fashion, they go to the extreme. You just bring fashion out of everything. So when you see piercing underneath the lips, upper, anywhere on the face, the idea was actually taken from the event that took place that involved our ancestors. So today it is fashion, but it was an experience for our ancestors, a very negative one. Imagine they have to pierce the lips. Imagine how long it will take the lips to heal. By adventure, Satanas entered into the wounds. How will you survive cancer to make it big? Fashion.
They pay money for that.
Wow. So the question is, why do they lock the lips or the mouth of our ancestors? It was to prevent them from eating any of the farm products. It was to prevent them from eating the sugarcane on the farm. It was to prevent them from chewing the tobacco leaves in places like Cuba that makes them get high. Despite the fact that they planted those items, they were not allowed to taste out of it. Another reason why they locked their lips or their mouth was to prevent them from communicating. They were afraid. They don't want them to spread information among themselves, because if they spread information, there may be a revolt. They don't want that. And again, they want them to just concentrate on their work on the farm, on the plantations.
Please, this place is small. Please, media. Please, let's not force all of ourselves inside.
We talk about the Moby Slave Relics Museum. We talk about 8 quarters in Badagry and Boiko being one of the quarters. Now look at the man beside me. Now we're in Boiko quarters and the chief of Boiko quarters is known as Chief Moby of Badagry. Please, what's your name? Temitope Moby. So he's also a descendant of Chief Moby. I don't want to go too deeply into the involvement of his own ancestors too. I don't want to go deeply because I may have to. Okay, you're welcome. So these instruments you are looking at were instruments they were used originally here. They were used originally here. And I need a volunteer to come and hold this. Wow. So I need another volunteer to come and hold it. Doctor, I'm going to hold the patient. So, do I have to tell your neck? Now, during the transatlantic slave trade, that sound was scary to the ancestors, because that sound represents pain, suffering. So anytime they hear the sound, it gives them nightmare. So sir, tell them how you feel, please. Okay, it's not good. Now, it has been on you for some seconds and you're saying not good. The ancestors work on the plantation for about 18 hours. So they work on the farm and they still have this around their neck for that long. Now you say not good and my honorable here is already telling me to remove it. But nobody asked anyone to remove it from the neck of the ancestors. It was as pain and terrible.
Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you for
Good afternoon once again. My name is Diaspora, and this is the Mobi Family Slavery Museum. Here are the real chain chapters used on our forefathers during the period of slavery. They are about 500 years old. Because slave trade lasted here in Badagry for about 350 to 400 years. Slaves captured from the whole of the Oyo Empire were brought down to Badagry. So they sell them to the poor Badagry, the poor Badagry will sell to the white men. Why taking them out of Africa? This will really
You're welcome to the palace of the Mobi of Badagry.
Thank you.
Mobi of Badagry.
God bless you.
Mobi of
Mobi Badagry.
Yes.
Good to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Good to be in your palace. Good to bring a delegation to see what has been done many years ago up until today. Thank you for your family, for your royalty, and we bless you from the United States of America.
Thank you.
Please, our media people, don't cover our guests, please. Our guests, you're covering our guests, please. Please, you can stand behind them, please. On the side, please.
Mobi of Badagry.
Thank you very much.
It's indeed a pleasure for me to be here in your presence. You mentioned your culture and your customs. We are here to reaffirm our connection to our culture.
Very good.
So we appreciate very much being here with
Thank
you.
you very much. God bless you.
Mobi of Badagry. We give thanks and praise to the Creator of the universe and the spirit of our ancestors who have allowed us to come into your palace today and be received by you. We who have come from the other side have heard many stories about Mother Africa, and many of them were lies. They told us we had no culture. They told us we had no history. They told us that our people live in jungle and trees. But today we've come to your palace. We've been received by you. And we thank you for receiving us, and that our eyes have seen this day, and our ears have heard what we hear today during this experience. So we thank you very much.
Coming all the way from down there to this place, according to you, sir. You said you came all the way down there from that place to this place. Let us thank God for your genuineness. It's like God please whoever to be here to celebrate with us. What do you come here to celebrate? Badagry Diaspora Festival. Diaspora Festival. Yes. We are one. I want all of you. I don't want to waste your time because we have not seen anything. By tomorrow, Badagry will showcase the potentials we have for you as our tradition and culture. May God bless you. If you finish tomorrow, God will see you back to where you come from by the grace of God. You You are welcome.
Thank you, sir.
No, I want.
It's a very nice title.
Highest
title.
Thank
you, God bless you. Thank you, God bless you.
No problem. But after a while, human being became gold that they were keeping in such structures. But everywhere they went to, even in Angola and other places, they built what is a barracoon? A barracoon literally means a slave cell. A barracoon is an embankment where enslaved people were kept while waiting for the arrival of the European slave ship. Now, here is a typical example. This is a barracoon waiting for the arrival of European slave ship. Keep them, they need an hotel, a terrible hotel. So this becomes that horrific hotel that the ancestors were kept while waiting for the arrival of the European slave ship. That is the meaning of a barracoon. And anywhere you find a barracoon, it's always close to the sea or to the river or lagoon, because most times the ancestors are taken away through canoes or boats or through the big ships. In Ghana and the Omina, as soon as they leave the castle, they enter into the boat. The big ship is on the other side. But here, you first enter a boat that crosses you to where we call the point of no return, where the ancestors will enter the big ship that eventually takes them away to the Americas. We call this Brazilian barracoon. Seki was a chieftaincy title. He himself, now the irony about him was that he was a slave that was taken away. Some argue that he was taken when he was 8. Some say no, he was taken when he was 6. Some say he was taken when he was 11. 6, 8, 11 means that he was taken when he was a young boy to the Americas. His first owner, slave owner, was an Islamic scholar and a slave trader by the name of Abbas in Dahomey, who eventually sold him to an European by the name of William. You see, he bear the name Abbas and William. The slaves don't have a name, they bear their master's name. And unfortunately today, his descendants still bear those names as their family name. Some bear Seriki Abbas together as a family name. Some bear just Seriki as a family name. Some bear Abbas. Some bear Williams Abbas, his name, as their family name. So there in Brazil, his owner, now, Mr. Abbas in Dahomey sold him to an European who took him to Brazil. But William in Brazil realized that there's something unusual about him. He sold other enslaved people, but kept the young boy in his house. When the young boy became a young man, he called him and said, look, I want to give you your freedom, but I want to have an agreement with you to work for me. And he responded by saying, sir, I'm your slave. Whatever you want me to do, I'll do for you. Through Mr. Williams and the friends of Mr. Williams, this man learned how to speak English, Dutch, Portuguese, and Spanish, which was unusual for a slave. Mr. Williams taught him how to read and write. And you know that it was illegal for you to teach your slave how to read and write. We go to jail for it. The man treated him well. So as a young man, he decided to give him his freedom, but like I said, on a condition that he works for him, which he gladly accepted. So it was his owner in Brazil who sent him back to West Africa, because Mr. Williams decided not to come back to Africa, but he needed someone to represent him here in Africa, and he sent this man. When his father and mother gave birth to him, his real name was Faremi Lekun. His father's name was Fagbemi, but an enslaved person don't have a name. But his real name was Faremi. So maybe we should call him Faremi for the purpose of our conversation. So he returned back to West Africa. When he first came back, he settled down at the colony of Lagos, that area that we call Lagos Island today. As I'm talking to you, he still have descendants there. Later he left Lagos Island to come and settle down here. Don't forget, people argue, school children say, oh, this man, when he came back, he had the experience of a slave. Why did he continue to work for his master here? I said, look, we were not around that time. He had a choice to make. But don't forget that Mr. William in Brazil will not just let him go. Definitely he will send other men to be with him. And some of the men that will be with him may be agents of Mr. William from Brazil himself. But the bottom line is, he did the biddings of his master. He left Lagos Island to come here, and he built the barracoon, supported by Mr. Williams and the Brazilians. That's why this barracoon is called Brazilian barracoon of Siriki Williams Abbas. Badagry. There are 40 rooms in the compound. In each of the rooms, they kept 40 human beings. And people argue, how come 40, 40, 40? Well, probably around that time, it makes their calculation easy. And they were not keeping men and women together. They separated the men from the women. And children were kept with the women. You know our mothers, being who they are, they take care of the children. So people also argue, oh, the men and women that are kept in the barracoon, do they copulate? Do they sleep together? No, they don't touch each other. The experience in the barracoon was so terrible that the urge for them to touch each other will not come. Because in the slave cell, we are going inside and you see what a slave cell look like. They kept 40 human beings in a room. They urinated on themselves. They excreted on themselves. When the women have their menstrual cycle, they did it in the slave cell on themselves. Where would the urge for them to touch each other come from? So how did they get those kids? How did they get the children that are with them? Some of the women, they were captured from the hinterland. Some of them were already pregnant before they were being captured. Some of them, while washing their clothes in the stream, they are with their children. They have their babies strapped on their back. So our mothers, being who they are, anywhere you take them to, they go with their kids. That's how we have children. And some of them actually gave birth to kids in the barracoon. But here, I cannot speak for any other place, but here in Badagry, the barracoons, there were no record of them copulating. Of course, it's possible that the slave owners, the enslaved people, owners, it's possible that the overseer, now the person in charge of the barracoon was referred to as the overseer. It's possible that the overseer will have raped the sisters over there, it's possible. But the enslaved people in the barracoon, there are no record of them copulating or touching each other. Because the experience in the slave cell in the barracoon was terrible. So there was no urge for them to touch each other. I'm just trying to explain to us, because people argue, how come they have children? Of course, they gave birth to kids here because some of them were already pregnant. And the mothers, when they are captured, they go with their kids. That's how we have children. So we'll go inside. You see what the barracoon looks like.
Anybody that wants to move it now, please come to for the sake of Nigerians, if you have 100 naira notes, please you can bring it out. I'll show you what Manila looks like. You have 100 naira. If you have 100 naira with you, just show me. Okay? Because on the 100 naira note, you see cowrie shell. On the other side of the cowrie shell is what looks like. Okay. Now, this is what the Manila looks like. Okay? So this is cowrie. People know cowrie. But Manila looks like hand bango. I have about 2 of that. But it was money. Like hand bango. It's called Manila. So what do you want to see? Okay. So people, Nigerians thought probably it's just there as a symbol of fashion. No. Just the way we have this cowrie shell here, representing money. The one over here too, called Manila, was also money. My grandmother used to have some. But when we were kids, we don't know what it means. How I wish I kept many of them. You know, we don't know what it was that time. But it's money too. So and it's made of copper. The Europeans accepted it. If you have that, which means you are very, very rich. If you have that, so probably in numbers, they know how they calculate to get what they want. So these items were used in exchange of our ancestors. I made mention, sir, you gave me this one now. You've given me, thank you, sir. So, the man that we talked about, Siriki Williams Abbas, don't forget, Williams was one of his slave names. Abbas was also a slave name. And Siriki, in this town, when he got here, he was doing well. They trust him, they respect him. And he was using his money and position to promote Islam. So, the Muslim community in Badagry gave him the title Siriki Muslimi of Badagry, meaning the head of the Muslims, like the king of the Muslims too. So because of his love for Islam, he
adopted that name, which used to be his title as his own name. Okay, because of his love for Islam. No matter who you are, as a Christian or as a Muslim, I tell people, it is not until you preach to me. Mr. William in Brazil was good to him, and he was a Catholic in Brazil. But how come when he came back, he did not become a Catholic? Why did he become a Muslim? Think about that. Okay, so that's what he looks like. Seriki Williams Abbas. Don't preach to me, use your way of life as evangelism. No matter how nice you are, just use your way of life as evangelism. So if when he came, one of the things he did, now the value of an umbrella was 40 human beings, unfortunately. Now we used to open this umbrella, but because the metals in it are broken, that's why we don't open it anymore. But most of what we have inside are made of brass, and it is very, very. Madam, I want you to lift it up for me. Salute. Now, these represent 40 human beings. 40 human beings. And one person will carry this over the head of the chief for as long as he is outside. If the chief or the king is outside for 2 hours, you carry for that long. If he's outside for 30 minutes, you carry for that long, and you pray that your shoulder don't betray you. Because if it falls on the king's head, what happens to your head? She was born that time. She said the head will be cut off. So how did you know that's what they would do? You were born that time, madam. So we divide ourselves into 2 groups. The first group will come with me. So you go into the slave cell and no, don't be afraid. Nobody will lock you in. In this town, he was made the paramount ruler of Badagry in 1895, and that's his picture here when he became the ruler of Badagry in 1895. So they kept the men here, they kept the women over here, but the women are kept over there. Media, where it's dying now. People should wait to face.
We'd like to let everybody know we are the fathers of His Majesty, the Prime Minister, Badagry Diaspora. Huh? Okay, Honorable Ma'am. The Prime Minister Badagry Diaspora, permanent Vice Chairman of the Local Council of Commerce and Trade, the President of Accra Royal Council.
Some of our guests have been here before, like Badagry, Johnny, Tim, and who else? They've actually been here before. But they love Badagry so much and what the door represents, and they are here again. So we appreciate them for coming all the way next door to be here with us. And today you'll be getting your Badagry names. And then today, Dr. Julius Gamo will be getting his chieftaincy title. And tomorrow we'll be taking the walk through the door return, and we're expecting our governor, Dr. Badagry, to open the door symbolically for our guests. So welcome to Nigeria. Welcome to Badagry. Some of you are coming from the front side. Seriously, I know God was born in the Nigerian. I think let's see you. Stand down. Jonathan. But he's never been to Nigeria. This is the first time. The Nigerian born in America is first time here. For my sister here, first time here. And you too, first time here. So, and you too, first time here. And where are they coming to? Badagry. I will go for the naming ceremony.
we have the names of those that we want to take African, we want to adopt African names. So the officiating chief is the King of Badagry. He's the one that is going to perform the naming ceremony. And a porter in Badagry has been so magnanimous to wanting to present to the Akran of Badagry the totem for the naming ceremony. And that is the Super Porter. Please let me have the totem, please.
On behalf of Posupa Potters, the High Chief, the Posupa Potters community members, I hereby present this special gift for the naming ceremony of our people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You're welcome. Give the Akran of Badagry.
I just decided to use my friends today. If not today, fight for space, all of us can fight for space. But it doesn't make sense. This thing, this person is doing now is very significant. Now that body is in between is big.
Everybody pronounce that. Home is good. Home is good. That's good. Yes, home is good. Yeah, home is good. Yeah. After your family, I give you can help you go to the music.
I'm not your friend. I even appreciate our mama, in the particular mother, in Nigeria, I think that is following. So our microphone in the country is so what expect. When you pray for you, it will be so. That's why I said it shall be well with you. Traditionally, we cast the kola nut and speak to the future, speak to what we are doing here today. If it's going to be fruitful, it's going to be prosperous for you and Badagry, that is the position that the loss of the kola nut takes to take time. And it has been very positive in that position, as the loss of kola nut takes. that's Coca-Cola, is going to be cast just as the cola nut. The position we also speak the one that is peace. The position of the cast speaks of peace. Now what we are doing here today is blessed by the deity, blessed by God, is blessed. And the sheep of our life, so you have to do it.
I don't understand.
The secret is I do. This is the beat or a sweet and bitter to do. I will tell you the sweet and bitter later. No. Say amen. From the icon of Badagry, maybe one of his stories.
Ajigo of Badagry Kingdom.
We don't use this. Those people don't. This Hey, don't go beyond that place.
Hey, hello, ma'am.
You don't go tell us what you see.
Now, it's a report. Inferiority complex with that. Black man, they will tie down. You know that ourselves before. Hey, yeah, yeah.
We welcome here today, Chief Ajigo of Badagry Kingdom. Dr. Julius Garo. And you all know Dr. Anderson is the Governor of Badagry Kingdom. He was conferred with Archbishop in 2018. He's here today with us for the divine faith and the people of Badagry Kingdom. You are welcome, sir. Okay. For those of you who don't know the history of Jesus Gade and Marcus Gade, in 2013, Yoshi people celebrated Marcus Gade, and this is the clothing, the uniform that was adopted in Badagry that everybody wants to celebrate and honor Jesus Gade. It is historic today that his song, his fondness of writing song, is here today to be conferred with the chieftaincy title of Badagry, one of the highest in Badagry land. It's not a coincidence. Honestly, because we want to believe that Marcus Gade's great grandmother, his progenitors were taken from Badagry. So that is why this is happening today. It's spiritual. On behalf of the people of Badagry, we want to congratulate you and to welcome you to Badagry, and also to request, because we have been requesting that we want the remains of Marcus Gade to be reburied here in Badagry.
Well, it's indeed an honor for me to be here, and it's coming back through the door of no return, so I'm coming in through the door of return, and it's a very significant honor I consider it very, very serious. I consider it a reattachment to my roots, which was severed by the kidnapping in the transatlantic voyage. But I'm back here, and I feel as if I'm reconnected to Mama Africa through Badagry. That's been a great pleasure.
What's your new name?
From the chief. Ajigo Badagry.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Right. You have your any other chief with you?
Yes, I have a
okay, I can see.
right
Yes.
here.
Yes.
We're brother chiefs.
Yes.
We're brother
Okay.
chiefs.
Yes, you've been here before today.
3 times.
Anytime you'll be here, it gives you a new sense of belonging. How are you doing today?
I feel like I belong. I feel like I'm home. I'm here, and I can't wait to take you back to the U.S. to let the rest of the world know that Badagry lives.
Good evening. Thank you. Your name? All right.
Dr. David Anderson, Chief Pati, which means God liveth.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Ẹ bá mi dárúkọ yín fún àwọn aráalé.
Orúkọ mi ni Comrade Felix Godolu. Mo jẹ́ olórí ọ̀dọ́ ẹgbẹ́ tí a ń pè ní Ego Badagry Youth Association.
Ó dà bẹ́ẹ̀. Ẹ̀yin gẹ́gẹ́ bí olórí ọ̀dọ́ tá à ń pè ní Ego Youth Association. Lónìí nínú Badagry, à ń dá bí owó a sì ń lọ bí ẹrù. Níbí báyìí lónìí a rí wípé oríṣiríṣi ètò ń lọ Badagry Diaspora Festival. Kí ló lè sọ fún wa nípa ẹ̀? Torí pé èyí náà jẹ́ ọ̀kan lára àwọn olórí ọ̀dọ́ tó di ìlú Badagry mú. Kí ló lè sọ fún wa nípa ẹ̀?
Èyí jẹ́ ọjọ́ ayọ̀, ọjọ́ ìdùnnú fún wa ní ìlú Badagry. Nítorí pé Badagry láti ìṣẹ̀dálẹ̀ wa lẹ́tí rí pé Badagry ti jẹ́ ìlú olókìkí, ìlú tí a mọ̀ fún àṣà àti ìṣe. Diaspora Festival tí à ń ṣe yìí ó jẹ́ ayẹyẹ tá a máa ń ṣe lọ́dọọdún láti ṣe ìrántí àwọn èèyàn wa tí nígbà òkú ẹrú tí wọ́n kó lọ nígbà ẹrú lọ sí àwọn Amẹ́ríkà lọ sí Caribbean side. So irú ọdún yìí bá ṣe máa ń ṣe ní pé tó bá ti di àsìkò yìí wọ́n máa ń wá sílé àwọn èyí tí ò bá ní orúkọ Ògún nínú wọn a máa sọ wọ́n orúkọ ìbílẹ̀ àwọn tó bá tọ́ fún oyè tó bá yẹ ká fún lóyè a máa fún lóyè nítorí pé ara wa ni wọ́n, àwọn ẹ̀gbọ́n wa ni wọ́n, àwọn èèyàn wa ni wọ́n tí wọn ọ̀dẹ̀ gbàgbé orísun wọn. So àwọn náà máa ń fẹ́ wálé lọ́dọọdún láti wá darapọ̀ mọ́ wa. So èyí jẹ́ ọjọ́ ayọ̀ fún wa lọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ nínú Badagry. Inú wa dẹ̀ dùn nítorí pé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn àlejò ni wọ́n wá láti tòsí láti ọ̀nà jíjìn tí wọ́n á bá wa ṣe àjọyọ̀ yìí.
Ó dàgbà bá wo ẹ̀yin gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọ̀dọ́, a rí wípé àwọn àgbààgbà kan ni wọ́n ṣètò eléyìí kalẹ̀. Ǹjẹ́ tí àwọn àgbààgbà yìí bá dàgbà tó bá lọ, ǹjẹ́ ìrètí wà pé ètò báyìí sì lè máa tẹ̀síwájú?
Ó máa tẹ̀síwájú sí ni nítorí náà lẹ́sẹ̀ orí wa lẹ́yìn wọn bí wọ́n ṣe ń lọ ṣísẹ̀ntẹ̀lé là ń tàn wọ́n lẹ́yìn nítorí pé bó ṣe ń ṣe a kò fẹ́ kó parun a dẹ̀ nífẹ̀ẹ́ sí nǹkan tí wọ́n ṣe nítorí náà gbogbo ìgbésẹ̀ tí wọ́n ń gbé pátápátá ni wọ́n ń ṣàlàyé fún wa kò sí nǹkan kan tó fi pamọ́ fún wa nítorí pé a fẹ́ kí ètò yìí ayẹyẹ yìí kó máa lọ lẹ́sẹẹsẹ tó dà táwa náà bá dàgbà níbi táwọn àgbà dé àwa náà tún lè fi lé àwọn ọmọ lọ́wọ́.
ó dáa Badagry Diaspora Festival òun là ń ṣe lónìí nílùú Badagry lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ báyìí ààfin ọba Accra àti ìlú Badagry òun náà ni a wà tí a ti ń fọ̀rọ̀ wé àwọn ọ̀tẹ̀kùlú ìlú tí a ti ń fọ̀rọ̀ wá wọn lẹ́nu wò tí wọ́n ń ṣàlàyé fún wa bí nǹkan ṣe ń lọ sí lórí Badagry Diaspora Festival. ní báyìí ẹjọ́ káyí sédè tiwantiwa nílùú Badagry nígbà wọn náà yẹ dúpẹ́rọ.
Nílò pẹ́rẹ́ àmọ́ o.
èèyàn
mo yàtọ̀ ṣáún.
ntòfí ṣáún yà ṣẹ́ra mi. tòfí ẹgbẹ́ mi mọ́dọ̀mọ́rọ̀ gbẹ̀tọ́lẹ̀ yé fi bó sùn kájí bọ́ yé tó ti tó bá sí èmi yóò ẹgbẹ́ mọ́rọ̀ Badagry Diaspora Festival. ó tẹ̀mí sí kájọ́dá mi tó kọ́ àyà jíjẹ
àyà jíjẹ dé yín àyà jíjẹ ti dín gbówẹ̀ wẹ́n dé mi mi báyìí tó egbò tó gbági bílẹ̀kù sí tó mẹ́ gbági eyín ètò dé tè sọ́kókó gbénu gbọ́n mi máa sọ díẹ̀ lọ ẹnu èmi tọ́lẹ̀ àyà jíjẹ mi tọ́lẹ̀ nu mẹ́nu mi tọ́lẹ̀ bí bàbá mi tọ́lẹ̀ àmọ́ mi tọ́lẹ̀ má dúró ní kúrédò mi má dúró ní bú wíwẹ̀ sọ bóyá ọmọ tó égbè zangbe wíwẹ̀ mi tó àyà jíjẹ lọ́ba bóyá ọmọ mẹ́mi tọ́lẹ̀ ní yé bẹ́sọ̀yì tó àsìkò débi yé tó ní kánimọ́lẹ̀ báyìí yìí náà wá pé gbètò égbè zangbe bọ̀mínà tí àyà jíjẹ mẹ́ bọ̀mínà dé yìí kọ́ná dé máa dé gbùgbé sí yìí kọ́tù yìí mẹ́lẹ̀ bọ̀dé dé tọ́sídọ̀ mi ní ná nàìjíríà yìí lọ́dọ̀ chieftaincy title ní máa gbé wọlé mi ní náà yóò gàndùgbò yẹn náà wá mí náà náà yìí tó égbè zangbe bọ̀ ní èmi tọ́lẹ̀ bí ní sísẹ̀ mi tọ́lẹ̀ bí èmi náà bẹ́ẹ̀ tó tó égbè zangbe
jọ́mọ́nù mi
tọ́lẹ̀ bọ̀ mí náà tó àyà bẹ́ẹ̀ ni so wáyé dé mi bìbá ètò égbè ìmọ̀ mi tó sọ́hun dọ́múlọ̀ mẹ́mí tọ́lẹ̀ dé wá yé mẹ́kú yé tó àyà jíjẹ mẹ́ tẹ́tẹ́ ń gbè.
yàṣẹ náà mi mílẹ́pọ̀dì nùkọ́tọ́ jọjà lẹ́kùnrin bí ẹgbẹ́ Badagry Youth
Badagry Youth Association
Badagry Youth Association tó mímọ̀ ti lọ mẹ́hó rẹ̀ wọ́n tó àsùn ìwà bọ̀ lọ́dọ̀ tó yìí lóde
tẹ̀lé nítẹ̀sí náà èyí tẹ́ pọ́n
yìí lọ mẹ́hó rẹ̀ wá wọ́n bọ́ àìgọ̀dọ́gọ̀dọ̀ bọ̀dá mi ní sí àyín bẹ́ẹ̀ ti tó ń kọ́tọ́ nágbẹ́tọ̀ sì ṣègbè nùkan yà.
ìnagbẹ́ yìí gbà ó
ìnagbẹ́ yìí dàmí lábàá ṣe.
ẹnẹ o tún ẹ̀mí lómi mọ́dọ̀ nínú pọ́n fítò tèmi náà mọ́dọ̀ jọjalẹ̀ ní ulẹ̀rẹ̀ suhuga ní ulẹ̀rẹ̀ dótò sòkò síde mẹ́hó mi tọ́lẹ̀ náà báyìí bọ̀ yé gbẹ́dì tó kí àmì dé yé bì báyìí dó ẹnẹ o tún ẹ̀mí ló mọ́dọ̀ jọjalẹ̀ mi sùn fítò égbé mi ní pọ́n de yé bì báyìí dó so that ní wá jẹ gbèdégbè náà jẹ bọ̀ mẹ́hó lẹ̀ wá yìyì mi ò jọjalẹ̀ mi náà bọ̀dọ̀ yé gbogbo náà tó bì báyìí dé yé bì báyìí dó.
iná ṣẹ náà mi.
bì báyìí gbà ó.
báyìí tó mẹ́wẹ́ mi tẹ̀ ṣùgbọ́n àpò mi tó ti tó nǹkan mẹ́ta ó mi yúrọ̀ yìí kọ́ mi tán náà mi ètò pé gbélé.
orúkọ tirẹ̀ náà yín comrade Felix Godonu president hengo Badagry Youth Association. báyìí
So much because he has done so much to develop and to make this festival, especially this year's festival, what it is. If not for him, probably we will not have it as big and glamorous as we are having it today. So we want to thank him. I believe that he knows what we are talking about. He believes in the diaspora returned home to Africa. Because until the diaspora is returned back to Africa, the Africa will remain incomplete. In terms of its economic development, technological development, human capital development, Africa will still remain incomplete until the diaspora returns back home.
Your message to the sons and daughters of Badagry, both at home and in diaspora?
Well, I greet them, I wish them well, and we are also inviting everybody to be part of this great event that is happening in Badagry. The diaspora, please come home. By next year, October, we want to have everybody around to celebrate. We also want to identify an iconic figure next year to also celebrate and bring to Badagry. So please join us. Your
name and phone, sir.
My name is Dr. Babatunde Olaide Mesoako, the Vice Chairman and Co-Coordinator of the Badagry Door of Return Ceremony.
Thank you very much.
You, sir.
My pleasure.
No, Dada, no, Dada. Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. Okay, oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. Hello. Move, I have to move.